So,
Christmas coffee. Yes, it is. It is a Christmas song.
I don't know how they figured this out.
It is a Christmas
Don't ask me.
How'd they figure it out?
Get out. Well, a sphere has a radius just like a circle does, right? Okay, it turns out that the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. Said don't tell me how. Don't ask me how. I don't think the book even says. Some genius figured it out. Oh, maybe they. Yeah, on the. No, that's the volume.
Oh, we're doing area again?
Well, we're doing area and volume. We're just doing for spheres. They're just two little formulas, though. The volume formula is a little bit harder to remember, but I'm not going to make you remember it. So 4/3 pi r cubed. Yeah. I think they do try to explain the volume formula if you look in the upper right, like top of page 437 for your viewing pleasure. You guys remember the difference? If I'm talking about the area of the sphere, what am I talking about? As opposed to like the volume. What's the difference between these two? What's area mean? What's surface area mean? Yeah, it would be how many squared, area is how many squares would be used to cover the outside. So you might say the globe is like, I don't know, 2 million square miles. I don't know how big it is, but maybe it's a couple million square miles or something. I'll Google that later. See how close I was, might be way off. But what would the volume tell us? How many cubes fit inside? A cubic mile would be so tiny you couldn't even see it really, but how many little cubes would fit inside? I guess we're not necessarily talking about the Earth, so it doesn't have to be that. But yeah, how many cubes fit inside? Well, this is like a cubic inch. Okay. Anyways, moving on. That's all we got really for formulas. So, number 1, find the surface area. What was the surface area? 4 pi r squared. So, number 1, the radius is 4. So, it's 4 times 4 squared times pi. Uh, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Yeah, 64. And this is inches. Should I label this inches squared, or inches cubed?
Square.
Squared, yes. Areas are squared. Number 3, the radius is square root of 5. So I'm going to do 4 times square root of 5 squared times pi. What's square root of 5 squared? 5, yeah, it's 5. Square root and square root are opposites. It'd be like square root of 25, which is 5, times 4 is 20, times pi is 20 pi. Feet squared.
Would it be 25 because you just said 20?
Well, I said square root of 5 squared is like square root of 25, which is 5.
Oh.
It's just a 5 in here.
Where did you get this for 5?
From 3, number 3.
No, I'm on the wrong page. Oh. That's why I'm so confused.
Okay, number 5, find the radius of the sphere. So this time we're missing the radius. They give us the surface area. So how do we go backwards and find the radius? Yeah. Plug in the formula for r squared pi equal to the area. And then do some algebra to work backwards and find the radius. On number 4, I noticed they're asking for the diameter. So you do the same thing we're doing on 5, except for multiply your answer times 2 because diameter is twice as long as the radius. So the surface area is 320, and that's all they give us. Oh, 320 pi, I guess. So how would I solve that for r?
Would you do, take the pi out?
Yeah, divide by pi would get rid of pi on both sides. What else?
Divide the 4.
Divide the 4. So that goes away. We get r squared equals 80. Then what? Square root it. To get rid of the r squared. The squared. The square root of 80 doesn't come out very nicely, but it is like 4 squared 5. Let's see. This is yards, I guess. Radius is a length, so it's nothing is squared or anything. Number 7. Find the volume. You guys remember the volume formula? Pi r cubed. I'm pretty sure I saw a Star Trek movie and Spock was saying that one. Baby Spock. Alright. Number 7. A sphere with a radius of 1/4. So we're going to plug in 1/4. 1/4, right? Cubed. I believe that comes out as 1/48 pi. And, okay, the book wrote, do you guys know how we can put these two together? Pi is like pi over 1. So that would be 1 times pi, 48 times 1. So you could write it like that also. Either way, that or that. And this one is meters. A sphere whose great circle has a circumference of 32 pi. What do you think they mean by sphere, great circle of the sphere? You guys remember what lines of latitude are? What happens to the lines of latitude? It's these lines, like the equator. What happens to the lines of latitude as you get closer and closer to the poles?
It's
Smaller. So what do you think they mean by, sloppy Joe down there. What do you think they mean by the great circle? The biggest one in the middle. It's like the equator. It's a great. Buddy kid. All right. So they say the circumference of the great circle is 32 pi. So if the circumference of this circle is 32 pi, what does that tell us? Do you guys remember the circumference formula? 2r pi or diameter pi. So if the circumference is 32 pi, then what must the diameter be? 32. Or you could do this. 2r pi equals 32 pi. divide by pi, this is for the radius, divide by 2. 32 divided by 2 is 16. Anyway, the radius of the sphere would be 16. We're just supposed to find the volume, right? Alright, so all that work just to find the radius, but anyway, we're just supposed to plug 16 in to the formula, which was 4/3 pi r cubed. So 16 cubed times 4/3, so this is a mess. How did they write that? They wrote a giant fraction, but they also wrote a decimal. I guess I'll just stick with the giant fraction. 16,384 pi over 3. I forgot what the measurement was. Inches? No. Centimeters. I didn't write my pi in here. Number 11, how many cubic feet of gas are needed to... So when it asks for a cubic foot, it's asking for what? How many cubic feet fill something? That would be a what question? Volume. Volume. Okay, if it's asking how many square feet cover something, that would be an area question. So anyway, we're still doing volumes, basically. So we're still using 4/3 pi r cubed. How many cubic feet of gas are needed to fill a spherical weather balloon with a radius of 15 feet? So we're doing the volume formula with a radius of 15. So 4/3 pi 15 cubed. Okay, so what does that come up to? 4,500 pi. Feet cubed. When they describe the size of a country, would that be a volume or an area question? Area. Yeah, we measure countries or states in square miles. Okay, anyway, back to the 13. You don't really need to know how deep or tall a country is. I don't know. There is such a thing. Okay, 13. Is this spherical tank with a diameter of... do you guys know what that means? On 13, they put that. What does that mean? 13 feet, 8 inches. A lot of people, like in, if you're in construction or something, it's just a lot easier notation than writing out feet and inches. Just a little apostrophe thing. All right, that's classified as... Okay, is a spherical tank with a diameter, so this is the diameter, of 13 feet 8 inches, best classified as a 1250, 2500, 7500, 10,000, or 100,000 gallon tank. Side note, 1 cubic foot holds about 7.48 gallons. So what we need to do is find the volume in cubic feet, convert it to gallons, and then answer like what's the best description of the size of the tank. Okay, so still doing volume. 4/3 pi r cubed. What would the r be though? What would the radius be? The diameter is that. How do we find the radius? Now you cannot plug that in your calculator.
No, sorry, I wasn't paying
So how are we going to figure that out? Why can't we plug it in the calculator? Well, because 8 inches is not 8/10 of a foot. So if you like tried plugging, I don't know what you would plug in. If you tried plugging this in, it would just be wrong. It'd be close to right. 8/10 is, well, what fraction of a foot is 8 inches? Let's put it that way. 8/12. So this would actually work. Or another way you could do it is convert it all into inches. So it's just like, I don't know, 180 inches, and then divide that by 2, whatever it is. That would work too, but since we got a calculator, it's probably the easiest way right here. 13 and 8/12 feet divided by 2, what does that come out is? Half of 13 is 6.5, half of 8 is 4. 6 plus 4 is 6/10. Oh, well on your, okay. Yeah, but if your calculator wouldn't give you that, your calculator would give you, did it give you an improper fraction? What did it give you? It gave you this one? Okay, well we actually need, well, no, we don't need this actually. We don't need to know that it's 6 feet 10 inches. We can just use this because we're eventually going to convert it into gallons anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so r cubed, we're going to cube that thing, times 4/3 times pi. Notice I'm multiplying in different orders, just because order of multiplication does not matter at all. It should be a mess, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. Life is messy. But I don't know what it comes out as, so you guys are going to have to tell me. Maybe they do. What do we get? Oh, and you do need to plug the pi in. We're converting this to gallons, so we need the exact as we can get actual answers. So when we convert it into gallons, we'll get it right. What do we get? Why is this taking 5 minutes?
I keep messing up when I'm typing.
No. Bigger. Okay, 6 cubed. That
Why
would,
didn't you get this one from me?
I got 1336.5.
okay. And you plugged in pi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is almost 7, so it's like 7 times 7 times 7. So that would be like almost 350 times, makes that probably about 400 times 3 is about 1200. So yeah, I knew it had to be bigger than that. Anyways, this would be how many cubic feet the tank holds, but they said how many gallons does it hold? So they put a little side note off at the end of the problem. 1 cubic foot is about 7.48 gallons. So how do we convert this into gallons? Would we multiply or divide? Okay, each cubic foot holds a bunch of gallons, right?
Yeah.
So each of these cubic feet represents a bunch more gallons. So it's actually multiplying. So here's another way to think about it. When you do the conversion, this is the way the book does it. I'm not sure it helps, but the converter is you divide out the feet and multiply in the gallons. Like if you write like this, the feet would cancel out. And then you'd get that many gallons. What's that come out to, roughly? This is probably like pulling teeth.
Close to 10,000.
Okay, close to 10,000. And that's really all we need, because the question was, is this like a 1250 gallon tank, a 2500 gallon tank, 7500, 10,000, 100,000? So this is closest to the best description is it's a 10,000 gallon tank. So that is the answer to 13. Spherical balloon has 36 pi cubic inches of air in it. What does that 36 pi cubic inches tell us? That's the volume, because it's cubic inches. What is the circumference of the balloon? So for the circumference, we need to use the circumference formula. Let's start with finding the radius of the circle. So if that's the volume, then we need to use the volume formula. Set it equal to the volume, 36 pi, and solve this for R. How would I solve this for R?
Take out the pi.
Divide by pi, pi's go away. So we got 4/3 R cubed equals 36.
And then divide by that.
Divide by what?
4
4/3.
squared.
Divided by 4/3. Yep. I believe that's going to be 27. Divide by 4/3. Divide by 4/3. R cubed equals 27. Not square root it, but you're close. What's the opposite of cubing?
Divide by 3.
Okay, what did we do on this problem? We square rooted it. What's opposite of a cube? Cube root. No, you said it. That's exactly how you say it. Cube root. So, an example, if 2 cubed is 8, like 2 to the third is 8, the cubed root of 8 is 2. They cancel each other. They're opposites from each other. Anyway, what's the cubed root of 27? What times what equals 27? 3, yeah, 3. That's not quite what they asked, though. They asked for the circumference. So do you guys remember circumference formula? You said it earlier.
2R pi.
2r pi. Yeah, or diameter pi, yeah. So 2 times 3 is 6, so the circumference would be 6 pi.